Hi, this is Jonah Dempsey, and I'm in Ibiza. And I'm going to continue on with our Human Design and Personality series, exploring the intersection and sometimes structural reuse across the human design system and various personality typologies, such as the Objective Personality System, Myers-Briggs, and the Enneagram. Today, I want to start a mini series on the human needs. So I'm just going to introduce the concept of the human needs. And in the next video, we're going to go into a little more detail on the human needs and what it looks like to overdo or underdo the human needs. But for now, I'm just going to introduce the concept. So the idea of the human needs has been around for a long time. I mean, you can look at Abraham Maslow in the early 1900s, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You can look at other psychoanalytic and psychological theories of human needs. You can look to Freud, you can look to Jung. I mean, I think Jung had a real breakthrough in saying that we have a need beyond survival need and sexual needs and things like this that were somewhat reductionistic. We have a need for meaning in our life. The kind of meaning that you can't just look up in a dictionary, but the sense of meaningfulness, what I think we would probably call in the vocabulary we're going to use today, the need for significance. And Jung very much understood this. Um, and what I want to kind of get across, just to give a little overview, is this idea that it's not like the human needs are anywhere in the body graph, because the body graph is showing you this lifetime, and the human needs are bigger than a single life. And it's not like we're tuned to meet all of the needs equally. In fact, the personality can be seen as tuning towards meeting some needs and not others. Everyone has all the needs, but personalities are tuned in such a way, kind of like the difference between a Ferrari and a Ford F-150, right? You have different tuning. Some cars have higher top speed or better cornering or better acceleration or this or that. It's the same with personalities. So one of the overarching through lines we're going to see in this Human Design and Personality series is that the personality is not in the body graph, not even in the personality activations. You know, the personality is not a part of the body graph. The personality is what I guess would mystically be called the eternal soul. You guys, yeah. And so the personality is basically this, you know, disembodied personality crystal. Even when you're incarnate in form, it's still somewhat disembodied. It's still somewhat, right? I mean, Ra used to joke, because the personality crystal isn't even really in the body; it's hovering above, above the top of the head. He would joke when he's wearing a hat that he's keeping his personality crystal warm. So one of the through lines we're going to see in this exploration of human design and personality is that human design is about this life you're living. And when we get to something that's part of the personality itself, that's something that's been around since the Big Bang. And when we talk about the human needs, you might say, okay, well, let's start in the body graph. No, let's start at the Big Bang. Let's start at the Big Bang. Because here's the thing, while they were calling them human needs, and while there were no humans back then, nevertheless, the human needs evolved and emerged, I guess you could say, with the human form. It's even a good question of whether the human needs have changed in the transition from the seven to the nine-centered form. But you could almost see the human needs as marching orders by the program. And what is the program? The program is simply a name that we give to humanity's evolutionary process. So humanity is evolving. Human design is, among other things, a way to engage with that evolution. Um, Living your design, living out your purpose, these are ways of fulfilling an evolutionary step, you could even say. And therefore, the human needs are related to these evolutionary steps. But it's not that everyone is tuned to meet every human need equally. So what am I saying here? Just a little bit of a take a step back. What I'm saying is we all have all the human needs, and yet we're each tuned to sort of meet some needs and to ignore others. And what ends up happening is by around midlife, which we now know is around age 42 for the nine-centered form, the unmet needs become a problem. I mean, even before then, they're a problem. We just don't know they're a problem, right? And so what ends up happening is people end up being so one-sided that they have focused so much on meeting particular needs and ignoring others. It's almost that they've made such an allegiance to fulfilling one part of the evolutionary task, but not the other. We could even say that the personality is so one-sided that it's only trying to have the needs met that it's oriented towards, but that the design, the form, is what is sort of yearning for these unmet needs to be met. I know this is a very complex, abstract way of presenting this information, but I just want to kind of set the stage. So what's happening and why this is important is that each and every life, the personality is oriented to meet the same needs. And these needs are, at least in some sense, diametrically opposed to other needs. It's a zero-sum game in some sense, not all of the needs. So, okay, this is all very convoluted, abstract way of sort of approaching the subject. But let's just do a quick overview now. And then in the next video, I'm going to actually go into some of the details about these human needs. The alchemists believed that sometimes the most basic, in the sense of even like the most mundane and worldly, hid within it the gold, that the gold was hidden in the lead. And so it's funny to me when people get really elitist about the sources of their knowledge. You know, this is from a Buddhist monk. You know, this is from this was, you know, somebody that has a certain spiritual pedigree. Well, the terms I'm actually going to use for the human needs are from Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins, the populist self-help guru, right? Who does have some tangential relation to human design, by the way, in that he worked with Chetan Parkin and Carola Eastwood, who actually mentored him. So kind of interesting, you know. He mentors many people. Well, who was his mentor? Who were you know one of his mentors, two of his mentors, Chetan and Carola. But in any case, disregarding any tangential connection to human design, Tony Robbins doesn't really have a great rap in the what we might call academic spiritual community. Obviously, he's well loved. Obviously, he's very popular. And that's why I kind of said a moment ago, he's populist as well, in that so many people look up to him and learn from him and so on. But, you know, he's not usually seen as somebody who has a lot to contribute to serious discussions of spiritual issues. And yet his formulation of the human needs is concise, easy to understand. It's like he did a great job keynoting. He just compressed very complex concepts into very simple words. You know, the way Ra does, the way that's what we do in human design all the time. And I think any good system, right? If you're going to build the Maya, there's a real challenge of how do you structure it? This is 4323 stuff. How do you structure it so people can assimilate it? I don't know if, you know, Tony Robbins has this channel or anything like that. I'm just saying this is the challenge. This is always the challenge. And I think he did a great job. So the Tony Robbins human needs, and I also have to give one more little bit of credit, by the way. Credit to Dave Powers and Shannon Renee Powers, the founders, creators of the objective personality system, because they use Tony Robbins human needs structure and terminology. And that's how I was introduced to it through my study of their system. The 6 human needs: significance, connection/love, certainty, uncertainty/variety, growth, and service. Significance and connection/love are opposite. It's not that we can't have both in our life, we just can't have both at the same time any more than a bird making the nest can also remain vigilant against predators. There's a division of labor. One's keeping the lookout for the predators, one's building the nest. Well, significance, you can be focused on significance. I'm doing important work, it's important. Or focused on connection/love. And how many relationships get into trouble over, you're not paying enough attention to me and you're not putting enough energy into connection and love. Well, because I have so much important work to do. And vice versa. How many significance people end up achieving so much and ending up all alone, like David Foster Wallace, winning a Nobel Prize for his book and having no one to share it with, and kind of looking around and saying, "Wow, I'm all alone here." And then it's more clear even to see how certainty and uncertainty are opposed, but that we need both. We need some amount of order and some amount of chaos. We need some amount of old and some amount of new. We need some amount of the expected and some of the unexpected. It's like good music or a good film. If it's completely unexpected, it just becomes this homogenized chaos. But if it's completely formulaic, it's boring. So these are also diametrically opposed. And then we have two human needs that are not opposed. The need for growth, the growth mindset. This might be sort of a controversial topic for some in human design, talking about mindset. And then service, being of service. And I hope that's a little less controversial, but I imagine it might also be controversial for some in human design, this idea that we should be of service to others. So yeah, these are the human needs I'm going to be exploring. Thank you for taking this meandering, philosophical, reflective approach to the topic. I guess a short recap will just be to say, it's my belief that in the case of the two dichotomous needs, significance is self-oriented, connection, love is other-oriented, certainty is past-oriented, uncertainty is future-oriented, at least in some sense. And in those two dichotomies, each of us are oriented one way and not the other. It's binary. It's not like there's anyone 50% down the middle. You're either a significance person or you're a connection love person. And if you're a significance person, you most likely have large unmet needs around connection and love, and vice versa. And you're either a certainty person or an uncertainty person. And so bringing it back to how we began this approach, this is a structure of the personality that is not in the body graph. And it's not like it changes life to life. If you want to know what's in the body graph and what isn't, ask yourself what remains the same lifetime after lifetime. Whatever remains the same is not in the body graph. And it doesn't make sense to me that you spend a whole life as somebody who over prioritizes significance, finally learning how to value connection and love, only for the next life to start life as somebody who values connection and love and spend that whole lifetime going back to significance. It doesn't work that way. It's more that each lifetime you begin valuing the same thing, and it's gone all the way back to the Big Bang. Some people are fundamentally self-oriented. Some are fundamentally other-oriented. Some are fundamentally past-oriented. Some are fundamentally future-oriented. And whatever that orientation is, it's life after life after life of struggle. So if you see someone that seems really self-absorbed, they're a significance person, a self person. It's not like they got that way in one lifetime. They've had thousands of years of practice. They've had 55,000 years to get that self-absorbed, And so how does it relate to human design? Well, human design is showing you how it works in this life and showing you the mechanics you have in this life. And even controversially, perhaps, I would say showing you hints at what your life purpose is and how you can live it out through following your strategy and authority, through, as Richard Rudd explores, the contemplation and the awareness that is gained from a deep contemplation of your gates and your lines. And these sorts of methodologies are aimed at changing the awareness, i.e., educating the passenger, educating the personality. The passenger can't direct where the vehicle is going, but the passenger has a chance to learn. And if they learn, the vehicle selects a different destination on its own. And if they don't, it's a law of the Maya. Ra called the Maya the clone factory. And he said some people are in the cloning business. I think he talked about the cross of the Maya. And these people in the cloning business, I mean, all of us get in this business. We're not finished learning something. We break up with someone, and what happens? Someone else comes along who's a clone of them. So that's what this whole series is about, the education of the personality and the understanding of what's in the personality and what's in the design. I know that was quite a meandering way to get there, but I hope you'll join me on this journey. We're going to continue in our exploration of the human needs. Then we're going to go on to objective personality and the Enneagram. Thanks for watching.